Now, to begin our Celebrating Asian American Excellence with AKP Sports Foundation, we'll begin tonight with speeches from our distinguished guests. So without further ado, please join me in extending a warm welcome to Mr. Sebastian Barron from Governor Brian Kemp's administration.
Great. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. Before I get into the governor's remarks, I'd like to just state on behalf of our office, recognizing your greatness. Here in Metro Atlanta, we are now home to the third largest Korean American population in the country, and growing. Next thing I'd like to point out, for the last 10 years, Georgia has been recognized as the #1 state in America to do business. That is a distinction that would not be possible without the hard work, dedication, entrepreneurship spirit, and enterprising spirit of the Korean American community. So I'd like to thank you for all you're doing to make Georgia great. And now I'll go into the remarks from Governor Kemp. On behalf of the state of Georgia, I would like to welcome you in celebrating Asian American Excellence with AKP Sports Foundation event today. During my time in office, Georgia's #1 priority is in making us the best place for opportunity. That includes bringing jobs, new pathways, success for all communities. Innovations like the celebration of Asian American Excellence with AKP Sports Foundation help us further that goal. And I'm grateful for the connection that we'll be making during the duration of your time here in celebrating this event. Thank you for all those who have had a hand in making this event possible, and I send my best wishes for continued success in the future. Governor Brian P. Kemp, thank you for your time, and I look forward to continuing to celebrate with you.
Now I invite you to join me in welcoming 서상표 총용사님, Consul General Seo Sang-pyo from the Consulate General of the Republic of Korea in Atlanta.
안녕하세요. Good evening. First of all, I congratulate on your successful organization of a sports event. So I'm very thankful for President of Korean Association of Southeast United States. And I was told that January, he is the president of AKP Sports Foundation. I'm very grateful of this event. I was told that the first sports event for university students in Atlanta for the first time. So I hope that next time we're going to organize this kind of the young people's gathering here in Atlanta. You know, some of you, maybe you visited here for the first time. This building is for the Korean American Association of Greater Atlanta. Normally when I attended this event held in this building, normally all the people gather together. I'm very happy to see very young men. I feel getting younger and younger tonight. And finally, I hope that you can enjoy your time in sports games. And I'm thankful for the two Korean companies joined our event. So as one of the CEO told us that right now Korean companies invested a lot to the United States. I didn't count that number, but he told us that the top 10 Korean companies invested here, $100 billion here. I didn't count it, but he told me that like this. I think that statistics is not is correct, I guess, because that our relation, I mean that the Korea-US alliance started 7 years ago, exactly 71 years ago, and right now our alliance developed, evolved has evolved into that economic alliance. So you see that many Korean companies working here, and the Korean company desperately needed that very skilled worker, good quality workers. So I hope that you Korean American, also Asian Americans, can join our companies here and make. So here is United States more greater than the people and president. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please join me in welcoming Hong Seung-won 회장님, President Hong Seung-won of the Federation of Korean Association of Southeast USA.
네, 안녕하십니까. 전 동남부 한인회연합회장 홍승원입니다. 저희가 많은 행사를 하지만 이렇게 그 젊은 학생들이 많이 모인 그런 행사를 할 수 있게 돼서 너무 감사하고, 또 AKP 파운데이션 장리 그 회장님과 그 팀들이 오늘 아침부터 굉장히 조직적으로 일을 잘하시는 걸 보면서 우리의 미래는 굉장히 밝다, 그런 생각을 하게 됐습니다. 그래서 원래 AKP 파운데이션에서는 보통 그 스포츠 경기와 봉사를 합니다. 그래서 오늘 아침에도 한 500여 개의 샌드위치를 만들어서 그 불우한 이웃들에게 지금 다 전달을 했었고요. 근데 거기에 더해서 이 기회의 땅인 동남부에 오셨으니까 저희가 이런 컨퍼런스도 같이 하고, 또 이런 인재들이 모인 자리에서 기업들에게 서로 연결시켜서 소개하는 자리를 갖고 싶어서 저희가 급하게 좀 사실 준비를 했습니다. 그러니까 처음이다 보니까 기업들의 호응이 그렇게 크진 않아서 오늘은 두 기업 이렇게 참석해 주신 SL 테네시와 그 조 대표님께 박수 한번 부탁드립니다. 여기 계신 그 학생들도 자연스럽게 이렇게 가셔서 많이 또 선배님들한테 좀 물어보시고, 또 그래서 또 앞으로 인생을 살아가는 데 있어서 많은 도움이 되셨으면 좋겠습니다. I'm so privileged to be here to have this wonderful event with AKP Foundation, and I want to convey special thanks to President Chang Lee and his team, and also wonderful panels. We are so excited to have a wonderful event next year. So thank you so much for coming and have a wonderful time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now for our final speaker of the segment, please welcome Mr. John Lee, CEO and President of AKP Sports Foundation.
So before I start, I would like to address the elephant in the room. No, I did not have any drinks tonight. I am the victim of Georgia heat from being in the sun all day long. So excuse my redness, but thank you everyone for coming. I want to introduce myself and AKP, what this event is about, and share some remarks and things as well. My name is John Lee. I'm the CEO and President of AKP Sports Foundation. And I just want to thank all the speakers, the VIPs, panelists, honored guests that are here, and especially to President Hong for his support of our mission and what we were able to accomplish here this weekend. I also want to thank our AKP staff. We have over 40 staff all across the country and in Korea and Taiwan as well. Without them, this is not possible. I stand on their shoulders, and I want to thank them, and I want to say thank you so much. And if you guys could give them a hand for all the work they did this weekend, please. AKP's mission is lived through the meaning of our letters A, K, and P. No, we don't stand for all Korean people. Many people think that. But we stand for agape, kairos, and pneuma, Greek words that stand for God's love, opportunity, and life. That is what we seek to do as an organization. We started in 2022 unofficially, and 2023 officially, bringing together hundreds and now thousands of young Korean Americans, Asian Americans, through the power of sports, and bringing them, inspiring them to give back to their communities, whether it's children, the next generation, senior Americans, and many others to serve and continue to give back to their community through the power of sports. So how is that possible this time and this weekend in Atlanta? We call this AKP Games Atlanta. Like President Hong said, we plan to do this many more years to come in Atlanta and in the Southeast. We brought together hundreds of young adults, college students, and others to play in a basketball and soccer tournament, which is our athletics event. And we prepared and served over 500 meals in partnership with Mission Agape to serve the underserved community in Atlanta. That is what we call our CARES event. So all of our athletes and participants take part in this wonderful sporting event, but they are inspired to give back to their communities. And this next generation has the power to do that, and we believe in that, and that's why we give so much. And that's why we live to exist as an organization as well. This event as well, dinner, networking, and panel, serves our mission of bringing people together in our community. We love to see all different generations come together, and this is what we want to do and continue to do going forward as well. So thank you all for attending, and we hope to have many more events to come, not just here in Atlanta and the Southeast, but all across the country as we are expanding nationally in sharing our mission and the growth of what we seek to do. Thank you.
American legislator in Georgia. As a freshman legislator, she was appointed by Governor Kemp as a floor leader to help with the governor's legislation and was also appointed as the chair of the Judiciary Subcommittee. She also serves on 2 judiciary committees and is the vice chair of the Redistricting Committee. After her first year, she was awarded the Legislator of the Year by Greater Georgia and Junior League of Atlanta. Representative Hong passed numerous bills in her first term, including those that help minorities, women, and veterans secure government contracts and to help fight human trafficking in Georgia. Representative Hong is passionate about working with the younger generation to promote and encourage active engagement in the political processes and taking leadership roles in the community. In addition to her position as state representative, Representative Hong owns her own law firm, practicing in the areas of personal injury, criminal, and bankruptcy law. Representative Hong immigrated from Korea with her family at 10 years old and graduated from Georgia Tech and Mercer Law School. She has been practicing as a lawyer for 15 years, and she was awarded the Younger Lawyer of the Year in 2005 and was also the president of the Cobb County Bar Association. In 2022, Governor Kemp appointed her to the Judicial Nominating Commission, which chooses judges to be appointed by the governor, and she still serves on that commission. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Representative Sue Hong. Now, I invite you to join me in welcoming Mr. Calvin Kang. Calvin Kang, known as Cook Like I'm Book, crafting his social media presence from his experiences as a private weight loss chef, immersed himself in the fitness, health, and food and beverage community. From unemployment to cooking for high-profile individuals in his unexpected journey, Calvin's isn't just about recipes. It's a narrative reflecting his evolution and commitment to health and cultural witness. Please join me in welcoming Calvin Kang. Next, we have Mr. Matt Choi. Matt Choi is a content creator, entrepreneur, and fitness enthusiast. Formerly a Division I football player at Monmouth University, Matt started his entrepreneurial journey as a personal trainer, aiding individuals in crafting effective health and wellness strategies. Amidst the pandemic, he switched focus to content creation, culminating in establishing his media company, Choi Media Group. With a growing community exceeding 1 million followers across TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, Matt showcases his fitness endeavors and workouts at a scale. Prioritizing mental and physical well-being, he has conquered various challenges, including marathons and ultramarathons running the length of South Korea, while advocating for pushing personal limits and spreading positivity. Please welcome Matt Choi. And now for our final panelist for this segment, we have Mr. James Rowe. James Rowe is the founder of Atlanta Run Club, and he's passionate about building a community in the social and wellness spaces. His portfolio includes partnership work with Nike, Gymshark, Lululemon, Propel, and more. Please give a round of applause for Mr. James Rowe.
And now we have our CEO of AKP Sports Foundation, but also our moderator for the night, Mr. John Lee.
Can we give a big hand for our MC, Christine? She's been amazing. Well, I'm back, so thank you for having me again. Thank you to our panelists for being here. They are representatives not just AKP, but of the broader Korean community and the Asian American community, and we wanted a chance to give them a platform to speak on some of the questions that you've had as well, that you've shared with us, but also just an opportunity to share and inspire all of us here in this room and beyond. So thank you for being here, and we'll have a great time of discussion. Some questions will be specific to the panelists, and some questions will be general for all. And so we can't wait to hear what they have to say tonight. We will start with Representative Soo Hong. Representative, Asian Americans occupying spaces in elected office and public service is a tremendous feat. What are some ways that you have used your platform and influence to advocate for the Asian American community within your environment and the constituency that you serve?
First of all, welcome to Georgia, welcome to Atlanta. I know you guys are all from everywhere. As the previous presidents have stated, we're really honored that you guys picked Atlanta to do this event. I told some of the people, some of the AKP staff, but John came to me we met about 2 years ago, and he was telling me about this idea, and then I met him 2 years later, and he was like, here's all the stuff that we've been doing, and it's just amazing. And I don't know if everybody speaks Korean, but President Hong had mentioned all the work that you guys did this morning, and how proud it is to see younger generation doing so well. And I feel the same way, so I'm really glad that you guys are here. So as far as the question, so being a representative, so I was the first female Korean American and the third Korean American legislator here in Georgia. And so we don't have too many, although actually Georgia has the largest AAPI legislators in the United States, which is kind of crazy given that Atlanta is such a growing Asian American community still. But in that role, you know, when I was running for office as well, I had so many younger people reach out, especially Korean Americans, wondering my path, wondering how I got to where I am, wondering why I decided to choose politics, and because they're interested. They're interested in law, they're interested in politics. And so in my role as a representative, I'm here to be a mentor, just like the ones that were there before me. The reason that I came to where I am, becoming a lawyer, becoming a representative, were all the Korean Americans that were lawyers and that were representatives before me, and looking at them and saying, I can do that as well. And so one of the things that I do for my platform is to reach out to the younger generation and be able to be available for them, so that I can make sure that if you guys have any questions or concerns or want to take this path, that I'm there to answer questions. In addition, you know, we have certain issues that concern our community, and so I am there as a liaison for our community and with the legislators. So any type of issues that come up, especially with our elders and our parents' generation who own businesses, I'm there so that I can go ahead and push any type of agenda or bills that will help them out as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative.
Answers won't be that long anymore.
Thank you, and just personally, just so proud of who you are and for your mentorship of me, and also your guidance and leadership for AKP as well as one of our advisory board members. Next question is for Calvin. Calvin, good to see you.
What's up? Hear me?
We can hear you very well. Growing up in a Korean household, how big of a role did food and exercise play in your childhood growing up? And do you think that passion you have for how did it manifest in your career that you have today?
Yeah, so Korean food and fitness still applies to my so Korean food and exercise still plays a crucial element of my life, and I think that it always manifested in me because whenever I was a fat kid growing up, so whenever I was trying to lose weight, I'd be like, I have to eat white people food, like chicken, broccoli, Greek yogurt, and so I want to change that narrative of like enjoying your culture's food while also being able to reach your goals. And I've been able to amass a following that is also supportive of my community.
Love that. Next question is for Matt. Matt, we know you've had quite a journey as an athlete to now content creator and entrepreneur. How did you get into running and how did that all start? I know you have a great story about that, and if you could speak on how you started your journey into that world.
Yeah, I mean, I think being a former football player, and I know there's a lot of like pro soccer guys and former athletes probably in the building, but I think a lot of athletes lose their identity after they're done playing their sport. And then you're kind of stuck after college trying to figure out, like, what am I going to do professionally? What am I going to get myself into? Like, now I have my actual career of 40 plus years to actually build a career, but also a legacy in that sense. And I remember just being, my first corporate job, I worked in sales. I didn't really enjoy what I was doing. And I had this advice from my uncle. He told me, anywhere you are in life, like, you want to make sure there's someone that's 5 to 10 years older than you, that's living the life that you would want to live. Not from a monetary standpoint, but just from like how they actually show up every single day, the energy that they bring into their room, the way that they communicate to people, the kindness of their heart, all the things that you can't really put a number on. And during the pandemic, I was kind of in that mode of like, all right, well, like, what am I going to do now? And running was available for us. And at the time, I was a personal trainer, and I was unemployed. I got laid off. So I read this book called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, and it just unlocked my mindset around like, what's discomfort? And what can I do to actually like practice that? I think it's really easy to be like, how do you build discipline? How do you build confidence? And a lot of it is by putting in work and putting in time. Everyone in here is special in their own way. They're unique in their own way, and it's finding out what that is. For me, running became the outlet. Running was never fun for me. Like I had to run in sports, and the soccer guys are here. Like you run for punishment, not for enjoyment. So for me, it was now flipping that on its head and saying like, could I turn this thing I used to dislike into something that now is like an obsession?
Love that. And speaking of running, next question is for James. James, good to see you, brother. What advice would you give to Korean American athletes, or Asian American athletes as well, to aspire to reach the places you have reached with your brand and club as you continue to represent the API community?
Yeah, so to give some background about myself and my run club, Atlanta Run Club, we actually started here in Duluth, right off Pleasant Hill Road. Sweet Hut was like the first run location. We had it in summer 2018. And fast forward 6 years later, our weekly runs are now in Midtown in Atlanta, and we gather over 500 people a week. And that progression and evolution has been amazing. And as he mentioned, a lot of it has gone through different stages of growth and has challenged me to just navigate different conversations and relationships with people. And I personally have a background in youth ministry, and so my passion has always been human connection and wanting to create places of belonging for others. And throughout the years, that has been my North Star in everything that we've created. And when I look at the landscape of running, especially in the city of Atlanta and in the States, it's still a predominantly white-led space. You look at organized races across the states, the Boston Marathon, the New York City Marathon, it's predominantly, you don't see many minority people dominating these spaces. And so to answer your question, I wanted Atlanta Run Club to be represented not because I was Asian, but because we were the best in the industry. And when I had that mindset, it had this energy of attracting the best brands because simply we were the best in our lane. And so, fast forward to where we are now, we've had opportunities to directly partner with the most like global iconic sports brands in the world. Nike, Adidas, Gymshark have former relationships in all those areas, and I think that's a testament to just keep excelling in the lane that you have been assigned to and do it well, and in the right time, the right people and brands will always be attracted to you.
Love that. Speaking of Asian American excellence, that's definitely a testament to that. So it's great to see how something that's very local to here has been growing so much. This is a general question for all of you, so if we could start representing Hong and go in order down the line. The question is, as each of you have led an example for Asian American excellence, how have you navigated and overcome challenges in your field, and how have you overcome them?
So I don't see them as challenges. And I think that's the number one thing. I think oftentimes because we're minorities or we're immigrants or we don't speak the language very well or we don't fit in as well, you feel like these are challenges that I must overcome. When you think of something as challenge, then it becomes harder. For me, it's always been I can do, and you just heard it with all these guys up here. I mean, it's like, hey, I can do just as what they're doing, and I'm going to do it. And so that's how I always approach anything that I do and anything that I want to do is that just because that person is doing it and he or she looks completely different than me and have completely different background than me, doesn't mean that I can't do it either. And so it's always a mindset, and as athletes, I think mindset is it's mind over body. And so it's always been that mindset for me to say that despite the fact that this may be hard, despite the fact that maybe some people can't do it, I'm not going to see it as a challenge, but I'm going to see it as something that I'm going to end at and approach it that way. And so that's how I've always approached things in my life, whether it's school or community or friends. Or different groups that I want to join is, I go into different groups just by myself because I want to join and I want to be part of it and get myself in there. And so I want to always, and I always tell the younger generation this, is that don't put yourself in such a small circle. There's a whole world out there, and I myself, being not speaking English when I first got here, I had a lot of Korean friends, but there was a point where I was just speaking Korean just with my Korean friends, and they're still my friends now, but there was a point where I needed to expand and explore different groups and different opportunities, so I always encourage all my younger generation to do that as well.
Thank you. Calvin?
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of that, I think challenges should always be embraced, especially if it's something that you're passionate about, whether it's like athletics, your work, family. And on top of that, just find a community with it. I was just talking to Matt about how new the career space is, and it's so new that there's not much to kind of go off of. So to have a community where you kind of talk to people and kind of relate to is really important. And yeah.
Matt?
I love this question because I think it's something that internally everyone can handle. I think when I think about adversity or challenge, I think it's showing yourself grace if you succeed or if you don't. I think it's really easy to beat yourself up too much if you fail on your first business, if you don't pass your bar exam, if you don't X, Y, and Z. Fill in the blank for anyone that's in here. If you miss the penalty shot, like if you miss the game-winning shot, like it's really easy to beat yourself up and say, oh my God, I'm a failure. I can't believe we lost because of me. And I think if you actually flip that on its head and to Sue's point of like looking at every failure, quote unquote, as a learning opportunity to say, how can I actually grow from this? How can I take this opportunity, even though we showed up in the micro picture of losing, but turn that L into a learning lesson? I think that's actually the best thing that you can do is to show yourself grace. Because at the end of the day, like we're all human. Like we're not AI, we're not robots. So at the end of the day, we're gonna make mistakes. But it's how you actually talk to yourself internally that makes a difference for your next adventure, your next fill in the blank.
James?
Yeah, so I'll give, I guess, for me, a specific example of a challenge as an Asian American in the space of running. And it's a topic that I'm particularly passionate about, but when we first started our run club, I would say for the first 6 months, it was like 99% of my Korean friends. And so if you can imagine, we held the name Atlanta Run Club that encompasses such a wide area of different regions of Georgia. Over time, we actually became the most diverse running organization in Atlanta, where actually Koreans now are the least represented. But I share that story because it kind of goes back to what these guys are saying, and my point in the beginning of really just staying true to yourself and true to your story and being authentic in everything that you bring to the table. And that common language of excellence and love, it's cross-sectional with different races and different people groups. So authenticity has been my thing to hold on to in times of adversity, to to not waver, to not fold, not mend to what other people around you are doing, but to just stay true to what you believe in.
That's awesome. This next question was the most popular question from the audience and from many people. So here it is. You all are very busy people. So the question was, how do you prioritize self-care and well-being amidst the demands of a high-pressure career and societal expectations? Let's start with James and come back down this way.
Self-care, I think just to keep it simple, me and Matt were talking about this earlier today, I think the best form of recovery is sleep and just prioritizing simple things like eating well and I just try to simplify what that routine is and to do it well and to do it consistently, but definitely need reminders every day. It's easy to kind of get caught up in the busyness of everything.
Okay. I think of self-care as something that every single one of us should selfishly put at the number one thing that we focus on. And it should be number one because at the end of the day, if you want to show up for your family, your work, your job, your career, if you're not in a good mental and physical state, then it's irrelevant of how well your business is doing. It's irrelevant how good your family's doing if you're not going to live long enough to see your grandkids. So for me, it's like health should be everyone's number one priority. And not saying that everyone needs to run marathons, but figuring out what that looks like for you. Like, it's actually one of the most selfless things you can do is to show up for yourself so you can then show up for your loved ones or the people that you care about. So I think it's something that, I'm fortunate that I get to make videos online, and obviously from the external, it's like, oh, Matt, I don't have time. I work a 9 to 5. Well, I think it's actually creating micro workouts throughout your day, whether it's doing a walk for your lunch or finding time to actually prioritize your own well-being is something that 10, 15, 20 years down the road, it's something that you can actually look at and be like, look how much compound interest has made because I went on a walk every day for 10 years. And I think in America, it's something that health is actually always secondary. People don't care about their health until they go to the doctor and the doctor says, oh, you're pre-diabetic. You're 20 pounds overweight. Instead of being reactive to your health, I think it's actually important to be proactive and be on top of it where fix it before it becomes a problem. So I think finding small time throughout your day to prioritize it is something that is very practical.
Grind culture is so glorified in today's communities and in today's world. It's not about what you do in those 8 to 12 hours that you may be working, but it's about how much you're putting in within the time you're given. So if you can be more productive within 4 hours rather than 8 to 12 hours, I'd much rather take the quality over quantity.
Speaking of health, I didn't die just now by coughing. So I get asked this question a lot because I have a full-time law practice. I have a full-time legislative duties. And so a lot of people are like, how do you do it all? And as these guys just said, I'm really good with time management. And you have to be good with time management and know what works for you in order for you to make time for yourself. So I have to work out or else my mind goes crazy. So I make time to go work out every single day. No matter how long of a day it is, it always makes me feel better. I always make sure that I get enough sleep because if I don't sleep, then I'm not going to do well the next day. And so, and there may be some things that work for other people. Some of my friends, they can sleep 5 hours and they're fine. Some of my friends, they may need to go and run for 3 miles every day, and that's not me. But it's finding something that is going to work for yourself, that's going to be able to clear your head so that you can focus better and do what you're supposed to be doing as far as work goes a lot better. And it took me a long time to get there. And so I think when I was younger, when I was first starting out my career, it was just always like work, and I gotta do well, but don't wait until you're too old or your health is failing to realize that you have to do that. I quickly found out when I was just exhausted all the time to figure out, man, I really need to take care of myself if I really want to enjoy what I do.
Thank you all for that great insight. This next question is related to the next generation, and it's particularly children. AKP has been able to reach thousands of people, and this will be reached, this content and all the, this panel will be shared with our attendees and others who tune into what we do. A lot of them are children who look up to you. If you have one advice for the next generation for children who look up to you, what would you give them and what would you share with them? If we could start with Sue and then go back to James.
Don't be afraid. I think so often in our personal life and our career, our professional life, we're afraid to do something, or we're afraid to think that we can do it. And I think that stops us from doing things that we really want to do. And I'm saying that not just work-wise, but in our personal life as well. Don't be afraid and don't underestimate yourself. I think it does take time, and it does take some self-building as well, and I'm still working on it. I'm 43. I'm going to be 43 next week, but I'm still working on it, and that's something that I work on every single day to say I can do this. And I think too often we miss out on opportunities. We miss out on friendships. We miss out on fellowships because we're too afraid to go and just be there. And so don't be afraid, and make time to be good to yourself, and know that, even if you go to some event and it was terrible, that's not you. Continue to move forward and seek out different opportunities.
I would say to not chase the bag. So basically, don't do it for the money. Because if you decide to do something or create something, start a business for financial reasons, then you're going to measure that according to how much you make, and you're not going to be very happy with that. So success should be measured about the passion you have for it and just how much you're enjoying it. And I think all of that will just encompass your financial gains at the end of the day.
I think it's funny that I use this as my advice, because this is probably what I wish I heard. It's to be a student of life. Like, never stop learning. I think as someone that was a very poor student, and I'm not proud to say that I was not the greatest and I cheated a lot through school, it's actually something that I'm actually not proud of, but it's something that I learned from. I think when we graduate college, everyone's like, oh, I'm done learning, I don't have to read again. It's actually the moment where you need to apply even more pressure, because you have to figure out now, what am I going to do for 40 years? So I think being a student is also a great way to showcase humility. The moment you realize that you don't know it all, that you're not the best at what you do, and that someone's doing it a little bit better, if you actually show up like that in every room that you go to, you will always be able to have a student's mindset. So I think never stop learning would probably be my advice.
My answer would be to always ask yourself what your why is throughout the journey. And I think as we get older and go through so many different seasons, we find ourselves in a place where we're constantly pushed to our limits. And for myself, that why and the purpose of wanting to see connection in others, the purpose of wanting to see others uplifted and empowered has gotten me personally through so many different hardships and adversities. So I think we all have our own individual why of the reasons behind our actions and our motives and inspirations. So it takes time to refine it, to let it become something so individual to you. So taking time to just letting that grow naturally and taking it one day at a time.
Love it. And for our final question, something fun to end on, since it is a sports-themed weekend. Can you share your favorite Asian American or Korean American athlete and why you would pick him or her? We'll start with James and then we'll end with Sue.
My favorite athlete is Matt Choi. No, it's it actually might be. Growing up, my favorite athlete was Park Chan-ho on the LA Dodgers. I grew up watching him when I was younger.
I think my favorite athlete, I thought it was Hines Ward, because that was the football player I wanted to be like, and because he's also half Korean. But I think the more that I've like, consumed Jeremy Lin's content and seeing that story of Linsanity, which I'm sure a lot of us probably remember that time when he was with the Knicks, and he has a really good documentary on HBO that you guys should check out as well. But it was so cool to see like the rise of an Asian star in a sport that is predominantly dominated by African Americans, and just like the way that he was able to show up with grace and also just like with humility of like not being expected to do that. It was really cool to see that, and it definitely inspired me to be like, oh, like there are really good Asian athletes in the world, and obviously doing it at the biggest stage, it was definitely an inspiration.
You said a Korean American?
Or Asian American.
Asian American. I've never looked up to any Asian American besides Jeremy Lin, just because of how, just like Matt said, like changed the landscape for us. I guess it would for sure be Jeremy Lin at this point. Yeah.
Great. I hope Jeremy sees this. Two big fans.
Watch this, Jeremy.
Yeah. Sue?
I don't really watch sports. But I'd say I like our Falcons kicker, Koo. I met him. He was very humble, hardworking, and he's got a lot of fans here in Georgia. So.
All great athletes. Panelists, thank you for your time and for all that you do for AKP. We appreciate you being here. And if everyone could give them a hand. Thank you so much.
Last one. 1, 2, 3. AKP! Yeah!